Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I've never done this video before, but I think it's something I want to try doing, maybe just at the beginning of every year. Most people tend to have TBRs that they line out for every single month. I personally try and craft a TBR every single month, but then I really go in all different directions. I tend to be a mood reader sometimes, so if I'm not vibing with the premise of a book, don't really want to read it, even if it's been on my TBR. So that's why I never really talk about anything on my TBR apart from like my own book hauls, because to me, just any new book that I own that I have yet to read, especially ones that I have purchased for myself, are books that are on my vast TBR. If I'm on Goodreads, I think my TBR is like 400 plus books, almost 500. I don't actually own all of the books on my Goodreads to read list, but I probably have about, I don't know, 50 or 60 here at home that I have not read. So I want to do more of a reading goals video for 2022 to kind of talk about what I am planning on trying to do for the entirety of 2022 in general. So obviously the first thing that I want to do is line out what my actual number of books to read goal should be. Every year for the past couple of years, my goal pretty much is about 50 books to start with. When I first started really getting into book blogging, I didn't think I could actually make it to 50 books, and I did. I was stunned by that, and it really impressed me and blew me away that I was finally able to reach that goal. So last year, I set my initial reading goal at 45 books, hit 45, and then moved it to 60, and then was able to surpass that and get to 71. So for this year, I really like that strategy of being able to have attainable goals and then stretch goals. So my attainable goal for next year will obviously be to first hit the 50 book mark. So if you follow me on Goodreads, my Goodreads link is linked down below. If you follow me there, you will be able to see that I have set my reading goal for 2022 at 50 books. Once I hit 50 books, I am planning on probably moving it again towards 60, maybe 65. But in reality, my actual stretch goal is going to be to surpass what I read in 2021, which was 71. So I'm hoping to get through 72 books next year. Now, looking back on what I read in 2021, I read primarily horror and thriller. I read 1 nonfiction and I believe 3 classic novels. I read Rebecca, Jane Eyre, and Wuthering Heights. I did really want to read more, and I did read a short story collection by Algernon Blackwood that kind of is in like the classic realm just because it is very pivotal to modern cosmic horror today. And so I outlined some more challenges for me for 2022. And I'm going to go through them very quickly. So my first reading goal for 2022 is to read 6 classic novels. So out of the 72 books that I hope to get through, I want 6 of them to be classics. I have a stack of classics here that I'm going to briefly go through that I'm hoping to read. The first is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I'm hoping to do a buddy read sometime soon on this novel. I've never read anything by Wilkie Collins, and this is a hefty one. It's about 500 pages, but I've heard that this is an absolutely amazing spooky ghost story. So I'm very excited for that. I also would love to get through The Phantom of the Opera. I'm not a fan of the play, but I've always loved the music, and I really kind of like the story overall. So I would love to see where it originally came from. As you can tell, most of my picks for this are going to be in the gothic kind of realm. The next is not, though. I do want to reread Pride and Prejudice. I got this in a recent Coffee and a Classic a couple months ago, and I was really impressed with the package. I haven't read Pride and Prejudice since I was 13, and I didn't like it as a kid, so I really want to revisit it, especially because I have this beautiful edition now. So hoping to reread this in the near future. Can't guarantee I will. This is definitely going to be one of those novels that I have to really commit to because I know going into it I didn't like it the first time I read it. Next up, this is from my most recent Coffee and a Classic. This is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I went home for Christmas and was talking to my mom about getting this book, and my mom would not stop talking about how much she loves and adores this story. And it's about the French Revolution. And for a Dickens novel, it's only like 400 pages, so I think I can manage that. It'll be the third Dickens book I've ever read. I haven't liked any of the two I've read before, so hopefully I vibe with this one. All right, next up, again, was in a recent Coffee and a Classic. This is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I've never heard of this until I got it, and I know that it's supposed to be very, very scandalous, and I just love the cover, and I don't know really anything about it apart from the fact that it is extremely scandalous, so I really want to see what all of the hype is about. It's not a very long book either. It's just under 400 pages as well, so really hoping I can get to this. And then last on my classics list is I want to reread Dracula by Bram Stoker. I read this book, I think when I was 18, right after I graduated high school, and I honestly don't think I ever finished it. But I remember really, really, really enjoying it, and the more I thought about it, the more a lot of it like blurred together, and I really just had like only a few scenes that really stuck in my head, and as I was going through it, I was like, I'm pretty sure those are only like the first half of the book, so I don't actually remember if I ever finished this all those years ago. So definitely want to go reread this, finally get through it if I didn't finish it prior, but I remember really, really loving it 10 years ago, so definitely want to revisit Dracula. I also really want to try and get through more short story collections. I know I've said on my channel so many times that I'm not really into short story collections, but I really love short stories. Edgar Allan Poe is one of my favorite authors of all time. But I found a really interesting way to read short story collections back in December. I was reading the Valancourt book of Victorian ghost stories, and I was just reading like one story a day, and in between what I was reading as my main read. And I really liked that balance, and I think if I read short story collections that way, I think I can really pace them throughout the year. I'm only going to set my goal for 2 short story collections this year, again, because just it's not something I love doing, even though I love short stories. I feel like when you read a bunch of short stories all at once, they start to kind of blend and meld together. And I have so many short story collections at home, and I know that like maybe 5 years ago I tried reading as many of them as I could, as much as possible, and I just really don't remember much of any of them. But I have 3 short story collections here that I think I'm going to try and get through. Probably won't get through all 3 of them. Maybe I'll trade them out for something else. And they are all part of my Tales of Mystery and the Supernatural collections from Wordsworth Classics, which is one of my favorite like short story collection editions out there. So I have the Ghost Stories of Edith Wharton. This one I actually picked up earlier this year. I found it in a bookstore in this edition, and it's so hard to find these editions now that they are out of print. Oh, for reference, these are what the editions look like now, and they're just nowhere near as spooky as these. So I'm not always thrilled with the new editions. This one is also by Wilkie Collins. It is The Haunted Hotel and Other Stories, and I love this image. I don't think The Woman in White is in here. I think this is primarily The Haunted Hotel, which is like a novella. Yeah, it's a 150-page novella, and then it's got a bunch of his short stories. So I will maybe get through to that. And then this is, I'm very sorry for the sticker, this is Madame Crowell's Ghost and Other Stories by Sheridan Le Fanu. I will hopefully get to Carmilla this year. I meant to do it last year and I didn't. But I also have this in case I am very drawn to Sheridan Le Fanu's writing style. So definitely on my list, and this is a really short one. This is like less than 200 pages. Okay, and then I only have 2 more goals for this year. I noticed last year that I only read 1 nonfiction book and I wasn't blown away by it. But I do have a few that I really, really want to read. Nonfiction is one of those genres that like sometimes I can just read and read and read it. Like I'm a huge fan of Chuck Klosterman. I've read almost all of his books, and they're all usually collections of like short essays on like pop cultures and lifestyle and music. Doesn't really fit this channel, but I was looking for more nonfiction stories that kind of fit the vibe of this channel, and I actually own 2. And I really hope that I get to them. Both of them I started reading when I first bought them and then got sidetracked and never picked them up again. But one is Dr. Mutter's Marvels by Christian O'Keefe Aptowitz. This is a biography of Dr. Mutter, I think it's Mutter actually. If you're from Philly or like that area, the Mutter Museum, it's named after him. He was pretty much a like pioneer in pretty much like plastic surgery. I'm sure there's an actual word for what he did. No, he was a mid-19th century plastic surgeon who revolutionized American medicine with his daring surgical work and pioneered the use of anesthesia, championing the sterilization of surgical tools and advocating for a compassion-based vision for helping even the most seemingly hopeless of patients. So he's a very, very fascinating character, and I remember I got like maybe a third of the way through this years and years ago, and I was just fascinated with it, but I had like a full-time job working like a 9-to-5, and this just went by the wayside and I never got to finish it. So I would really love to finish this, especially because I love the Mutter Museum. My boyfriend and I actually had, I think it was either a 2 or 3 year anniversary celebrated in Philly, and we went to the Mutter Museum and it was awesome. And then this is a book that I believe my stepdad got me actually, and it's Ghostland and the American History in Haunted Places by Colin Dickey. I definitely started reading this. My stepdad I think got me this for like Christmas a couple years ago, and I really did not get far from what I remember. But it's all about like American hauntings. So it's broken into sections. We have houses and mansions, bars, restaurants, hotels, and brothels, prisons and asylums, graveyards and cemeteries, and then cities and towns. And I just think it's a really, really interesting topic, and I would really like to read this because I am planning on really upping my series on haunted tourism this year in 2022. I only had 1 episode last year, and it was after I had visited the Stanley Hotel, but I am going on a couple other haunted trips that have already been planned, and will absolutely be documenting those, especially on my Instagram. If you guys do not follow me on Instagram, it is @VioletPrynne, and I will be fully uploading all of my haunted tourism throughout the year up there, and I will definitely be doing video wrap-ups. I probably should have done a video on Sleepy Hollow since I go every single year and I didn't. So let me know in the comments below if you would like to see a haunted tourism video on Sleepy Hollow. I've been several times, I have tons of photos, and it's an awesome, awesome place. I would love to talk about that. But yeah, I would love to definitely get through Ghostland this year and maybe explore some of the places that are in here in real life. I think that could be really cool. And then my final goal for the year, and this is actually a goal that I have pretty much every single year for myself, is to read one like door stopper book. I guess a door stopper, you could say, it's probably anywhere between 800 plus pages. For me, it's usually about 1,000 pages that I would consider a door stopper. Last year, I only read The Witching Hour by Anne Rice. That was my only book over 1,000 pages. No One Gets Out Alive, I believe, was 600 pages. The year before that, I read The Terror, which I think was 800 pages. The Stand, which was about 1,100 or 1,200 pages. And I really enjoy long books, but I have to really be committed to reading them. And I think one door stopper a year is a good goal for me. So I have a few that I'm choosing from this year. I'm currently reading Carry On Comfort, which is, I believe, 700 pages. The edition that I have is in very, very small font. So I think the traditional book printings are about 900 pages, but mine is 700. I also really want to get through Stephen King's Needful Things. This has been on my list for years, and I was hoping to get through it last year, and I wasn't able to. This is about 800 pages. Yeah, just under 800 pages. And then I also have Stephen King's 11/22/63. It's all about like the JFK conspiracy theory, and I'm really excited to get to that. That was another book that I was really hoping to read last year and didn't get around to. But those are kind of the only door stoppers that I think I have in my possession right now. I gotta really be, oh, you know what else? But I have Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. And that one I think is pretty lengthy as well. It's supposed to be comparable to it. I hadn't even thought of it as a door stopper. It is 100% my goal to read Summer of Night this year. Because I did read Malignant Summer, I did read December Park this year. I gotta keep on reading the top tier coming of age horror stories. So yeah, those are all of my reading goals for 2022. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions on how you guys get through your reading goals or what your own personal goals are down in the comments below. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturday. If you enjoy this channel, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.